Hey guys, hope you're doing well. I'm going to do a quick video today. Talking about starter on the mower here that I'm sitting on going bad. So yeah, just curious, want to throw out a few things I've noticed in terms of the starter going bad and how long it lasts, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, let me turn it over just so you can hear this noise that it makes. Y'all hear that? Yeah, it went completely dead. I think it was Friday when we were using it, and it was kind of acting up beforehand. It would start, then it would start making that clicking noise. I'd turn it off, and it do the clicking noise for a while, and I'd just fiddle with it. And finally, it'd turn over. But just after a while, I just quit doing that altogether, quit turning over altogether. So yeah, pretty positive. The starter has gone out on this one, and this is one of my older ones. It's got almost 1,400 hours on it. And I actually replaced, this is one of my newer ones here, as you can see. I recently replaced the starter on that a couple weeks ago. Yeah, and it's got a little over 500 hours. So that's been that's what I've noticed over the years. They tend to go out after about 500 hours. In my experience, it seems like usually they'll last about 500 hours for you having to replace the starter on the mowers, specifically these Lazor Zs. And this one, I'm assuming, is the same thing. Sometimes it may be the battery, but usually when it starts making that clicking noise, I'm pretty sure it's not the battery in this case. And I'm going to test it out here in a minute, the battery, just to make sure it's not weak or whatever. But usually when it starts making that little clicking noise, it's usually a sign that the starter is going bad. So yeah, that's something I really don't fool with. I probably could if I wanted to, but I'd rather just take it in and let them replace it at my dealer. Let them take it off and put a new one on there. And I think that cost me, when I replaced it and got it back a few weeks back, I think it was around $500, for the part, the starter itself, plus, labor and all that kind of stuff. So that's typically what I do. I'm hoping maybe when I get my shop and get a little more space to work on stuff, I'll try to, learn how to, do that kind of thing on my own. Obviously, I changed the oil out and simple stuff on my mowers in terms of maintenance. But yeah, anytime like a starter or whatever, whatever else similar related to the engine, I'll typically let my dealer handle that just because I don't want to screw anything up. Yeah, I'm curious, you guys, let me know. I'm curious on any other mower types. How long does the starter typically last on your mower? Skag, Walkers. I think Walkers, probably around the same. Yeah, I've had a few starters go out. Yeah, I've had a starter go out on this one. This is the one I bought used, and I had to have it replaced because I bought it with probably 400 hours on it, I think. And it seemed like I had to replace it shortly after I bought it. So yeah, I'm assuming around 500 hours is a general rule of thumb in terms of the starters going bad. Just curious, maybe any other brands that you may use, Skags and Grasshopper or whatever. If that's the same, that's a general rule of thumb. I'm assuming it may be. But yeah, keeping out of the weather. Is that good? I mean, obviously, I think it's pretty common sense. If you keep it inside and keep the rain off it and the weather off it when you're storing it or not using it, obviously that could probably help prolong the starters themselves. Yeah, that's one thing. Maybe making sure you're keeping a good battery on there. Of course, if it's not any good, it's not going to start to begin with, right? So I don't know. Y'all let me know any suggestions to keep the starter, maybe lasting a little bit longer than 500 hours. Just curious what y'all think. So yeah, just thought I'd throw that out there. Like I said, it's making this clicking noise here. I had to roll it when it officially went kaput and it wasn't turning over at all. I had to roll it onto the trailer bed here, or the truck bed. Obviously you're gonna have to release the tension from the hydro pumps. There's just some little levers underneath each pump on the Lazor Z here that you just gotta turn, and it'll release that pressure, and you can freely roll the machine onto the trailer bed. And that's what I had to do the other day when it went dead officially, but anyway, yeah. Just curious on that, guys. Hey, listen, let me know what you think on the starters. I'm gonna be going by the land this afternoon, and I'm gonna give y'all an update on the land itself and what's going on. I haven't officially closed on it yet, and we'll talk about that when I get there on the land itself and talk about some other things going on with it, some things I found out, which is good and positive. And we're going to talk about the shop. I'm trying to figure out a good shop size, to build. This obviously be my first shop I've ever built. So I'm trying to figure out a good size and be curious to see your thoughts on what y'all would recommend, that kind of thing. But we'll talk more about that later. And listen, guys, I know it's, especially in the southeast, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, tonight especially, the weather's going to get bad. So I hope y'all stay safe and weather aware. Looks like we could be getting some big tornadoes, today and tonight. They're, saying it's a high risk in Birmingham, not quite in my area, in Auburn, Opelika. They're not giving a high risk, but they are giving the elevated, risk. Level 4, it's level 5 in parts of central Mississippi and Alabama, which is something that doesn't get issued very often. So I hope y'all are safe and staying safe, and to be weather aware tonight. You never know when a tornado may strike. But yeah, I hope you're all blessed, guys. Y'all let me know on the starter. We'll talk about the land later. Talk to you soon. Hey guys, at the land now. Yeah, I've been waiting on the Auburn, Tennessee game to finally finish, and unfortunately for my team, they got beat. Congratulations, Tennessee. But yeah, I'm here. Give you an idea of what's going on. So I've said before, I'm looking to buy it as soon as possible. But what I'm waiting on the city to do whatever it is they're doing, given the fact that this particular parcel, 4.4 acres, was subdivided off a piece of 28-acre property. That's what's originally listed. I'm just buying 4.4 of it. What I feel like is the most beneficial for me and the most valuable piece of property out of the 28 acres that they had originally for sale. So yeah, that's just really what I'm waiting on. Waiting on them to do whatever it is they're doing to give me the go-ahead. I've already got in touch with the closing attorneys that will be closing on the official sale of the property, and they've asked me a few questions. They need some information, all that. So I think we're good there. It's just a matter of the city doing what they got to do so I can officially hand over the money, right? So that's really what I'm waiting on. I really want to get it done as soon as possible. That way I can start moving my wood piles around. I have to worry about paying rent later on. So my thinking is with the wood piles, y'all, is to put it right over here. It's somewhere in here. It's already pretty flat, and obviously there's no trees or anything on it, so it's clear. That's probably where I'd put it. Whether it stays there, I don't really know. I may end up having to move it once they start clearing some land. But yeah, just want to show y'all something before we talk about the shop itself and the size shop that I'm thinking of. So I got some good news, and this is something I don't think that the sellers of this particular property knew. So as you can see, this is Sharp Street. Goes down to here. They're going to be extending this road. I think they're going to begin extending it, not this year, but next year. But where it leads to, where it comes out at, will be really close to the interstate. So right here where I'm at now, I'm probably about 2.5, 3 miles from the interstate. And this will give me 2 access points coming into the property. Right now it's got the 1 access point. But yeah, having 2, obviously will make the property itself more valuable, and I think it'll be more appealing to anybody looking to rent, or lease out any properties I may build in the future. So as I said before, I'm really focused on getting my building first and foremost built. And this is where, based on conversations I've had with my GM and the civil engineering, this would be where I'd want to put it. It's already got a little clearing, as you can see. So one thing that I mentioned before, in terms of testing the ground out, that was something that some people have mentioned to me about doing some geological tests to make sure that the ground was safe to build a structure on. And actually the civil engineer actually recommended me do that. But at this point, I'm gonna take a little bit of a chance. As you can see, I don't know if you can see the ground here, you got some red clay. So that's a good sign anytime you see the red clay in terms of putting a structure on. I don't think there's going to be any issues, but the civil engineer was telling me that this building across the street, it's been here for a while, is having some structural issues. They're not really sure if it has something to do with the ground or whatever. Really not sure. So he had mentioned maybe doing some tests. All I want to make sure of is I got at least a little bit of an area that I can build a shop for me. And if worst comes to worst, if I can't build anywhere else other than this spot behind me, that'd be fine. I really just need a shop space for me so I can, have a space for me to, store stuff and, grow my business and do the other things I'm thinking about doing. So even if I can't, I don't think it's going to be an issue. You never know though. So I'm hoping to build out, especially along the street side, multiple leasable, unit spaces for people to rent out, and it should be potentially a big income producer for me in the future. So that's all in the future plans. Right now I'm really focused on getting the building built right here where I'm standing. So y'all let me know, y'all. I think you're really splitting hairs, and it's, I've been trying to figure out, a particular size building that I need. I keep going back to maybe a 40 by 60, 40 wide, 60 long. Let's see here, 50 by 50. And actually the more I think about it, a lot of people tell you, go ahead, maybe build it a little bit bigger, so you can grow into it, right? So I'm thinking about a 50 by 60, which would be 3,000 feet of space with an awning on the side. Okay, an open air awning on the side of it. So yeah, 3,000 feet of space. I don't necessarily have to have an office, according to the civil engineer, or a bathroom, I don't believe, but I'll probably go ahead and put a single bathroom in the office. Even though I don't really need the office necessarily, I'll go ahead and do that. That way, if I ever want to rent it out, it'll just be more appealing. So that's an option too. I mean, say if I grow out of it, I can always build a bigger one for me if I wanted to, somewhere on the property, right? So that's kind of my thinking. Probably, leaning towards a 50 by 60, 3,000 square foot of space with an awning probably on the left side, assuming I have my wood piles along here. That's kind of my thinking. So I have the building somewhere in here where I'm standing, then I'll have some room to the left of it, and I'm thinking I'll put my wood piles right here. So if it's ever raining, I want to split wood or, whatever, I can do it under cover. Obviously I could store equipment under it, or even maybe my truck or two, just to keep it out of the rain, if I didn't want to store it inside. But that's what I'm leaning towards right now, y'all. A 50 by 60 building with an awning on the left side. Y'all tell me, does it really matter? I mean, 50 by 50, 50 by 60, 40 by 60. What are some things I need to be thinking about if I'm in that general area in terms of the size of the building I want to build? One thing my civil engineer told me in terms of the doors, I would like to have 2 doors. My original thinking was I would have the doors on the front side. Well, after talking with him, he recommended putting the doors on the back, because he was saying, especially if you have people renting out future buildings, that there's a good chance, they may hit the front side of the building itself, trying to park their vehicles or get inside, and it just mess up the facade a little bit, make it look maybe potentially unsightly. So yeah, I actually agree with that. I think it might make more sense for me to put the doors on the back side and have a nice, maybe a little bit of brick and a couple windows on the front end, just to add to the look of it, right? The look of the building itself, make it more appealing. I don't really care, but maybe make it more appealing to, a future leasee that I may have rented out or whatever, who knows, but yeah, that's kind of my thinking. More than likely have the doors on the back ends of the buildings themselves, including mine. So yeah, that's really the main things I guess I was going to ask you all about. Let me know what you think in terms of the size and the 2 doors. I was want to make sure those doors are tall enough that I can get my big trucks in. I'm thinking probably 12 feet, 10 to 12 feet. I'm really not sure. In my Isuzus, I think the top end height is right around 9. The gate, it's about 9 feet, maybe a little more than that. So I'm thinking at least 10. Probably go ahead and maybe do 11 or 12 foot. That way, like I said, if I rent it out in the future, it can accommodate, bigger trucks or vehicles or whatever. But anyway, yeah, y'all, excited about it, ready to get it bought, so I can go ahead and officially get started with the civil engineer coming up with a site plan. Again, I have so much space here. This is almost 600 feet of road frontage here. So my thinking is I'll put my bigger facilities that I can rent out for a significant amount of income on the front, the roadside, and the civil engineer told me, he said that based on what he knows, the knowledge he knows of, that the 4,000 to 5,000 square foot facilities are in high demand. There's really not a lot of facilities that size, or honestly any size around here. So there's a big demand for it. He thinks this is a great area, just given the location. It's kind of the center, north central area of town, and you got the interstate close by, I-85 north leading to LaGrange, Atlanta, south leading to Auburn, Montgomery. Like I said, I'm about 2 to 3 miles away from where I'm at right here, and having that extra access point will obviously help, add to the value of the property itself. But yeah, he was telling me, I think it's 4 to 5,000 square foot, warehouse, shop-like facility. You can get $5 to $7 grand a month in this area, as far as leasing it out. So obviously it'd make it easier for me to get a loan, to build out multiple buildings in the beginning if I have an agreement with people that may be interested. And that's something my GM's looking into. He thinks he's got some guys that may be interested in building in a space, for their business. So I'm hoping I can get some people maybe interested that I can go ahead and have an agreement. That way I can go ahead and, build multiple buildings other than just mine. Because right now I'm really, in terms of, financing and, obviously the money involved, I'm putting the money, I'm buying the land with cash, and then obviously I have to figure out, how much I may need to borrow just for my building, or maybe another building or two as well. So yeah, looking forward to getting that site plan figured out. It'll be something that I can go to in the years to come, as I build this property out. But yeah, it's really exciting having that vision. I finally felt like I have a vision. When I was at my house, operating out of my house, I had no room to go anywhere, really grow or add equipment. So now that I got this, it's like, basically unlimited potential here, for my business, and the facilities I can build on it to rent out, make money that way. So really excited about it, y'all. I just feel extra motivated, you know what I mean? So really excited about it. Y'all let me know, guys, like I said on the things, talking about the starters. Is 500 hours a general rule of thumb in terms of the starter lasting, how long it's going to last? And the building size, what would y'all recommend? Do y'all think I'm thinking right? I think so. Again, I can always build a bigger facility if I needed one, right? So that's kind of my thinking there. Leaning towards a 60 by 50 with the 2 roll-up doors in the back. Y'all think, roll-up doors in the front, back? I think it makes sense to put them in the back. Let me know what you think. But anyway, hey, listen, guys, hope you're all staying safe. We've been battening down the hatches. Still got some stuff I got to do to get ready for these bad storms coming in. But yeah, it's really hot and humid right now, so it doesn't look like we're going to be getting the storms till later this evening or later tonight. So we'll see. Hopefully things go well. Won't have any issues with any big tornadoes or anything. But yeah, y'all let me know, guys. Hopefully this video is interesting to you, get you to think about stuff, shop sizes, all that kind of stuff that goes with a shop. Let me know. Talk to you later.